Good morning, good morning, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right. We got a very special guest today, Shannon McLaughlin.
Yes,
I
that's it.
said that right.
You said it correctly.
So I want the people to know exactly who you are and what you do. Give me a
Okay.
brief introduction.
Okay, my name is Shannon McLaughlin, and I am a licensed funeral director. I'm also a registered nurse. I'm a mother, and I don't know what else. So, I am born and raised here in Albany, New York, and I love my city.
Okay, so you're a licensed funeral director. Can
Yes.
you tell me exactly what that means?
That means I've went to school, to learn mortuary science for 2 years, and actually I went to Hudson Valley, so I'm a graduate of Hudson Valley. And then you do, a year of internship, and then you take a national board exam, and you become licensed.
So you have your own funeral home.
Yes, I just opened my funeral home, 1226 Broadway in Albany, New York. The name of it is S.L. McLaughlin Funeral Home, and I just opened in August of 2017. Yes.
For me, this is like a rare business. Never in a million years would I have thought to be a licensed funeral home director. It like growing up where I come from is either you play basketball or you're in the streets.
Mhm.
And then for the woman, it was maybe you're a nurse or a nurse or like a CNA,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? So for you to think outside the box, how did you go about that to
I was going to Hudson Valley, and actually, this is when I got out of high school. So this is back in 1991. So, um, I was going to Hudson Valley, and I was actually going to school just taking liberal arts because I really didn't know. I always wanted to be a judge, and so there was this girl who used to come up, black girl, who always she was already in the mortuary science program, and she would come up in the campus center, and I would always talk to her and just ask her, like, "Oh, what do you guys do down there?" and things like that. And I was just so intrigued by that, and so I went to go see an autopsy, and the next semester I just signed up for it.
mm,
Yeah.
so this been a lot of years in the making.
Yes, yes. I graduated in December of 1993, so you can figure out I'm not a spring chicken. So,
So opening this kind of business,
mhm.
did you save for it? Did you take out a loan? Like walk me through like the first maybe 5 steps.
So, um, I was a flight attendant for about 15 years with American Airlines, and of course, I don't know, most jobs have 401k savings plans, and so I was just saving my money, and but that was supposed to be for my retirement, and I when I decided that I wanted to open a funeral home, I didn't take out any loans. My mom and dad, they helped me, and I just dumped my 401ks, and that's how I opened the business. And I know a lot of people sometimes they don't want to, give God credit, but I am a faithful tithe payer, and I believe that I know that has helped me, in the sense of that. I lack for nothing, and I don't say that in a pompous way, but I just feel like that is one of the reasons that I'm blessed.
I love it.
So
So the first step in starting the kind of business that you have is
I feel like you have to know the value of money. I think you have to value your name, and with that comes credit. Um, I will say in when first got out of college or whatever, I was one of those college kids who had credit cards and things like that, and I'll even be transparent, about maybe about 23, 24 years ago, I filed bankruptcy because I did have a lot of like credit card debt. But since that day, I've never had a late payment.
so walk me through like bankruptcy. Like you rack up 10, 20, 30, $50,000 in credit.
Yeah. I just what had happened for me was I was just starting at American Airlines, and when you start in a airline for the first 6 weeks, you don't get paid. You go to their charm farm, which is basically, flight attendant school, and I was pregnant, and I was just like, "Oh, what am I gonna do?" I was still living at home with my parents, I was 25, but I was still living at home with my parents, and I was just like, "This is just all too much for me," and I just need a fresh start or whatever, and I'm not advocating that people, just because you want a fresh start, bankruptcy, you should pay your bills. Um, at that time, it worked for me, and I filed the bankruptcy and I got a new start, and ever since then, I just always, made sure I paid my bills on time, and, it wasn't even before with bankruptcy that I didn't, pay my bills on time. It's just that, everything just got backed up
Mhm.
and just it became overwhelming for me, especially, just having a child, things like that. So, but I think the first step is actually valuing your money and learning. My mom, when we were younger, she always like I remember my first job was at Chuck E. Cheese. And my mom would literally take half of our paycheck and put it in the bank. And we used to get so mad at her, like, why are you doing this? That's my money, blah, blah, blah. But she was teaching us the value of money. And, I always tell my son, like now, I encourage him to pay his tithes, and I said, "You will always chase a dollar if you don't save," you know? So I just feel like you have to know, you'll get to a point in your life, I think that material things don't matter to you anymore. Growing up as a girl, you want all the things that girls have, the clothes, the designer bags, the designer shoes. You just get to a point in life, this stuff doesn't matter. This stuff doesn't matter, and you just begin to, save and, you know, put money away, things like that.
Yeah, I've I came to that point maybe a couple years ago
Mhm,
where I realized a lot of things don't matter.
mhm,
And that's when I really started investing in a business.
mhm.
Like, I mean, investing every dollar I had, and it's paid off tremendously. So, what I'm seeing, what I'm seeing with you is you had the foundation of your mother and your father.
Mhm,
You had the chance to fall.
mhm,
They were there to help you pick you back up,
mhm,
and that's huge.
mhm.
You know what I mean? That's huge. So from being a flight attendant, what was next?
I was a flight attendant probably for about 8 or 9 years, and by this time, my son was probably about maybe 7 or 8, and he's always, played soccer and things like that. And as he started getting older, because his dad lived in another state, so I just, he would start having little school plays and things like that. And he would just be like, "Mommy, I want you home. I want you home." And I'm saying to myself, okay, what can I do? What can I go back to school and do, but make decent money really quick? And I'm just like, okay, let me be a nurse. I never wanted to be a nurse. It's never my heart's desire. Some people, oh, no, that wasn't me. I just wanted to do something really quick that I can make decent money. And I wind up going to nursing school. And I went to Maria College in Albany, and I graduated from there.
So, how long were you in nursing school?
I was in nursing school for the 2 years, but I'm being very transparent now, when I had to take my boards more than once or whatever because I just like I said, honestly, I never wanted to be a nurse. Um, and I always knew that I love being a flight attendant. I got to see the world, staying in nice hotels, laying on the beach. I just didn't wanna be a nurse or whatever, so I prolonged it as long as I could, taking the board exam, but when I finally buckled down and I just like, "I gotta finish this," or whatever, I, took my nursing boards and then I passed, you know?
What I'm really, really, really seeing is like you're a testament of you can do whatever you want to do.
You can. I'm not gonna say that, it was easy. There's plenty of nights that when I was going through school, having a young son, I was flying Monday through Thursday. Um, no, I was going to school Monday through Thursday, and Friday through Sunday, I was actually flying. So, but there was plenty of days that I'm just like, I'm gonna quit. I don't want to do this, and crying. My mom would be like, "You can do this. You can finish this." And that's how I got through it because there were plenty of days that I didn't want to do it because one, my heart wasn't there, but nursing school is very hard,
Yeah.
very hard. So,
Yeah. anything worth having isn't easy.
Right.
So if you guys are listening and you guys are watching, she had the opportunity to go to school at a high school, finish that up, go be a flight attendant, have a kid, go back to school, get your nursing degree, be a nurse,
Mhm.
and then what comes next?
Um, I even went back to school because when I went to Maria, I had my associates in nursing. I finished my bachelor's in nursing, and the whole time I'm a nurse, I'm like, "This is not what I wanna do. This is not what I'm called to do. This is just." I was so used to being on the go and, like, being a flight attendant, I'm in 4 different states in one day, you know what I mean? And I like the, freedom of being in different places. And I knew I always wanted to, own my own business, and, I didn't realize how much I talked about it. Everybody's like, "Oh, you've been wanting a funeral home for so long." And I knew I talked about it, but I didn't realize how much I talked about it. And so, I said, "You know what? I think Albany, we need a new funeral home," you know? And so I just for 2 years, I was one of those girls who bought clothes and all that stuff. I stopped shopping. I just started saving my money, and that's how I just decided that, I was gonna open a funeral home. And I just started saving my money, and it's been about 2 years, like, really in the making. And, when I found a building, answer was yes at first, then it was no, yes at first, then no. And I must have got about maybe 20 no's for the building that I'm actually in. And when you're really determined that you're gonna do something, I worked out every single way that I could just open this funeral home, and it didn't matter that people kept telling me no because I knew what I wanted.
So when you say the building that you're in,
Mhm.
are you renting? Are you leasing? Are
No,
you
I bought my building.
okay?
I bought my building.
So you jumped into not only the funeral home business, but
Mhm.
real estate as well.
Real estate. Well, I actually have rental property before I have, had the funeral home. So I own home, and then I also have rental property, and now I have my funeral home. And, and I learned that from my dad because my mom and dad have, they've owned apartments in Albany and real estate, different businesses. And so my first house I actually bought from my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I know I've had privilege in that way, in the sense of, everybody doesn't get it that easy. And I
Yeah.
won't act like, that it was so easy for me. I mean, it was so hard for me because I did get it from my dad.
And when when I see people in your situation
Mhm.
and everyone may say you're privileged, you had the opportunities they didn't have,
Mhm.
it's not your fault your parents worked hard.
Right. Right.
That's what you guys have to understand. This is what you want for your kids.
Mhm.
You want to set your kids up to win.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, I'm a first generation business owner,
Oh.
so LJ, little Shalene, will have it
Mhm.
easier than me.
Mhm.
And if he plays his cards right, his kids will have it easier than him.
Mhm.
Like, your son is like living life right now,
Yeah.
having a good time. I've met him 2, 3 times,
Yeah.
and that's how it should be. It's not his fault you worked hard.
Mhm.
So you can't fault someone or slight someone like they had it easy or they didn't go what you're going through when the people before them
Mhm.
did.
Yeah. And I'm actually 3rd generation because my grandparents, they used to own a grocery store on Phillip Street. And so I remember as a little girl going down to the grocery store, and then, with my mom and dad having businesses, and now I actually own a business.
I love it.
So,
So your grandparents worked hard,
hmm
instilled that in your parents.
hmm
Your parents worked hard, instilled that in you.
hmm
You work hard, instill that in your kids,
yes,
and the cycle continues. There's
yes,
no slight, there's nothing negative about having a good family,
yeah.
coming from a supportive family, a strong black-willed family.
Yeah, I think in my family, And we're not the perfect family. We got our issues. We got our things that, that we go through. But I think there's always in the back of my mind, you're gonna do something with yourself. You're not gonna sit at home. You're not going to just do anything. Um, as I was telling you earlier, whatever. Even me, I feel like there are times that my parents probably could have pushed me further than what I am today. And that's what I do for my son now. I think sometimes maybe I might be a little bit too hard on him, but I don't want him to be 40 just starting a business. Um, Thankfully, he's on a full academic scholarship at RPI, but even growing up when he was in, high school and stuff, and he'd bring me home 85, I would chuck it right in the trash. I'm like, because I know he's capable of 95. I know that wasn't his best. And I wanted him to always do his best, present his best. So then if he gets through school and stuff now, he doesn't have to wait until later to, "Oh, okay, Imma try this now." No. At 20 years old, I actually started him in, kindergarten at 4 years old. And like, "Why you starting?" No, he can do it. He can do it. And I've always pushed him. And, he's a good kid, and
I
he
love
does
it.
well.
So, starting the funeral home, first you save, you get your credit together. How did you take the first step of starting the funeral home business?
Um, when I decided that I wanted to open a funeral home, I went, back to, where I originally did my internship, which is LH Woodward Funeral Home in Brooklyn, New York, and that's where I've always worked. The They were so gracious to me, and I just told them what I wanted to do, and they said, come on back down." And I just immersed myself in the business. So I quit my nursing job, and I just said, "I'm going to New York." And I stayed in New York, for the whole summer, just actually lived down there. And just I did every part of the business. And I know it's not typical that girls are embalmers. We usually, the ones doing the arrangements or standing there looking pretty, but I knew that I had to know everything for my business because I knew that it was just going to be me. And so I needed to know everything. So I immersed myself into the business. Even now, um, I'm still being mentored in the sense of I work with an embalmer in Maryland, and she has helped me so much. So I constantly am teaching myself. I know what I'm doing, but I don't ever want to become lazy in my skills.
So, you say you have a mentor.
Yes.
You weren't too high on your high
Oh
horse
no,
to say, I need help.
no. Because even in this business, I haven't seen everything. In New York City, I saw a lot of stuff, but um, Albany, in the sense of like not being what do you call a big metropolis city, I don't get to see like decomp on a regular daily basis, or we do have our share of gun violence, and see, but cities like New York City or Washington, D.C., they see that all the time. So I constantly, go back to those places to make sure that I'm keeping myself up to date on how to do these things. You know what I mean? And um, for me, it's not just about preserving a body, but presentation too. So
Okay. So, what form of degrees or certificates do you need in order to be a licensed?
you have to go to school in New York State. You have to have an associate's degree in mortuary science, and then you have to do a year of internship, and then you take the national board exam for
Okay.
whatever state you want to be licensed in. They do have 4-year degrees now in it, but for me, when I went to school in 91 through 93, you had to do the 2 years and then a year of internship.
So, how do you deal with staff? Do you have staff or?
I do have staff. I have a licensed funeral director who works with me, and I also have an intern who's actually going to school for mortuary science. And I also have my family. They have been a big help to me. Sometimes it's hard working with family because nobody wants to listen to you or they feel like, "Oh, I don't have to listen to you," but my family has really helped me a lot.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah, so
So, how do you grow?
well, right now, I'm just trying to, market myself and to even let people know, 'cause it's been told to me that there are a lot of people that still don't even know that I'm here in Albany, that I'm actually open. I went through, SEFCU's SEED program, which is for small businesses, and that was an 8-week course, um, to teach you how to write a business plan, to how to, write strategies for your business. And at the end of it, if you go to all the classes, if they like your business plan, they will give you a small loan with a small interest rate. And that's how I started my business. And it's called the Seed Program. And I actually won for the Small Business Development Center for this area. I won the Small Business Excellence Award this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's big. What I see and what I try to tell everyone, knowledge is key.
Yes.
So, I'm a self-taught photographer. I
Hmm.
went to YouTube University.
Hmm.
You went to physical school
Hmm.
more than once. I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Like when high school was over, this was over.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people, I do not like going to school. You know how some people, I do not like going to school, but I have an associate's in nursing, I have a bachelor's in nursing, and I have an associate's in mortuary science. But I hated school. I hated school. And I mean, but I knew in order to get what I want, I had to go to school. So.
Okay. So,
And you don't have to be, oh, A+ student, because I mean, I was like a B plus student or whatever, but I was never one to like, oh, I'm so great in school. No, you don't.
you just gotta do it. Gotta
Yeah.
get you gotta get
And my
through it.
problem was not so much that the grades, whatever, because I'm more a hands-on person. You give me something to do, I can do it. It's just that I'm not a good test taker. Not a good test taker. So.
So in the business, you wanna let people know that you're here.
Hmm.
So you're doing some marketing and advertising.
Hmm.
How do you grow your staff? Like, if everything was in a row, everything was running at 100%, what would be next for the business?
Well, first, I think people need to remember, like when you start a business, people always think, oh, well, how come you don't have all of this? How come you? When I say that I dumped every bit of savings that I had to open my business, so now I'm without money. I don't have a job, you know, my rental property is how I'm surviving basically, and God, and so, um, I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason I haven't really marketed myself because you when you first open a business, you don't have a lot of money to do those things. And people are like, "Oh, how come you're not getting yourself out there?" Well, if I had the money to do it after I've opened up, people don't realize I didn't open a business, but I bought a building too, a commercial building. So, um as far as, like, growing, staff and stuff, like, right now, I am training my staff how I want my funeral home to run, so that's not something that you just learn in 2 weeks. They have to learn your personalities because, uh you have to be very sensitive in funeral business, like, you just can't talk to people any type of way. People emotions are high, so sometimes you gotta learn how to filter through, their anger or things like that, or when they're talking to you, you can't take everything so personal, you know? So you have to watch your staff and, like, okay, make sure their personalities is something that you actually want for your business, you know?
So, on average, how much does a funeral cost?
It depends. There's so many different varieties of like funerals that you can like if you want a direct cremation, if you want direct burial, or if you want a full funeral, or you just want something private. It just basically funeral services a la carte. It's like whatever you desire. If you it's just whatever you want, basically. So. It's
So
no set price, that's what I'm trying to say, because it depends on what that family's wishes are for that person.
does it make a difference if someone has life insurance or not?
It does, it helps a lot. I think, that's one of the things people don't realize, in the African American community, you see a lot of, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen in other communities, but, you see a lot of GoFundMe pages and things like that. You can get insurance for about $10 a month. You start young. I actually, I bought insurance for my son like a month old. Gerber, it turned into, a policy, and it doesn't have to be expensive. And you buy a pair of Jordans, that's your insurance for the year, you know. Even renter's insurance, things like that. Um, it's not expensive, but you have to do it. And people think, oh, I'm gonna get insurance when I turn 60 and stuff. People, you don't realize insurance takes about 2 years to mature. So even if you got it today, but you're preparing for so you don't leave that burden to your family,
Yeah.
you know?
So being in the funeral home business,
Mhm.
are you in business with maybe an insurance agency? Do the funeral homes work with the the burial plots, or like how does this work?
No, I'm not in business with anyone. I don't promote anyone's insurance. The cemeteries, they're all separate. Um, What happens, I do sell pre-need, and or not sell pre-needs, I have pre-need, meaning that if you want to, start saving money for your funeral, what I do is I work with a company, and basically you bring me a payment, I send it to them. I don't even hold on to the money. I send it to them, it draws interest, and they send you a statement every year, so then at that time when that person actually does pass, that money is sent back to me for the funeral.
Mm,
But it's a way for a person to actually save to make for their pre-need for their funeral arrangements, and having their wishes conducted and not someone else's.
okay.
Yeah.
So no, I'm just trying to see how the business is constructed.
Mhm.
So you're growing the business, and I want you to let the people know how can they find you.
They can find me at 1226 Broadway in Albany, New York. It's probably on like the borderline of Menands and Albany, but my building used to be a post office. I do have parking, and my funeral home, you're more than welcome to come take a tour, and just come talk to me. We can set up, anytime. I'm always there or whatever. I still do teach as a nurse at times, but my staff is there, and we're always willing to answer your questions and things, and just give me a chance. Just give me a chance. I'm also a freelance makeup artist, so I'm good at what I do, and I just need the opportunity.
And where can they find you on social media?
We do have a Facebook page. It's called SL McLaughlin Funeral Home, and I might also have a website. The funeral home has a website, and it's slmclaughlinfuneralhome.com.
Okay.
And I wanted to specify because there is another McLaughlin Funeral Home over in Troy, but mine's is SL McLaughlin, and that's McLauglin.
If you can say anything to a young woman looking, searching for something, business wise, life wise, what words of encouragement would you give them?
Well, I right now, I actually am a clinical instructor for Rensselaer Questar Bosti's program for CNA students, and all of them are girls. And I have a morning class and an afternoon class, and I always tell them, don't stop at being a CNA. If you can do this, you can go on to school to be a registered nurse. You don't even have to stop at being an LPN. Go on to school to be a registered nurse. And I think sometimes people just need that encouragement, that push. No, it's not always going to be easy, but you can do it. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. You can do it. And just go on, and as far as a business, don't give up. You are going to run into some no's. You are going to run into some roadblocks, but don't let that be a deterrent from you not going forward. because just set up in your mind that those things are gonna happen, so when they do happen, you say, "Yep, this was supposed to happen. I'm just gonna go around it and keep going, moving forward."
I love it. We definitely covered a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Definitely thank you for taking the time to come out.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, and I just, I wanna let the people in Albany know that, I it would be an honor to take care of their loved ones and just like I said, sit down and talk with me, have that opportunity. And there's some pictures of my funeral home actually on the SL McLaughlin Facebook page. So you can go on there and see. And I tried to make it really, really nice for the people. And so um, that they feel warm and, when they come in.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. So,
Make sure you guys check her out. I don't even know which camera I'm looking at, but make sure you guys check her out. Make sure you get up, you get out, and you get you some.
yes, thank you.